have you ever used smelling salts?
Never in my life.
Have you ever been curious?
No, quite frankly, no.
Oh.
No, I don't really have much interest in it. Why?
Well, the NFL is banning teams from using smelling salts or, basically passing them out, distributing them to players during a game. But they're going to let players get it their own way and do it before games if they wish. George Kittle had a whole, he went on NFL Network and interrupted a Fred Warner interview to say that he was upset about the banning of smelling salts and other ammonia-smelling products, I guess. But you still can do it. So I guess what the NFL is telling players this season is get high on your own supply.
Essentially. Also, George Kittle needs to do a little bit better reading because he made it sound like they were straight up canceled and it had everyone in an uproar.
Well, I mean, that's a common thing when you see like something in an email and you're like, what the fuck is this? And everybody's like, read the fine print.
Yeah, but no one told him to read the fine print. Instead, he went on NFL Network and spewed whatever he felt like the memo was reading when it didn't say that. And I'm pissed because I said that on the air and I'm embarrassed by it.
Oh, so you're just going off of what George Kittle said?
Yes, it's my fault, really, but it's Kittle's fault first and foremost.
Yeah, of course. But Adam Schefter gave us clarification that if you want to use smelling salts, just get your own. And I get it. Like a lot of guys use it to get them fired up. I don't think I have. Like I can't think of a time where I would use it. I mean, I played football in high school, but I've always heard it's just stings the nostrils, to say the least. And
it's not for you when you're living and alert. It's for you when you get knocked out. And
I beg to differ, my friend.
Huh?
I beg to differ.
Why?
How many guys do you see use it to get like hyped up before a game? Jim Mora Jr. I remember Jim Mora Jr. used it like he would get like a player to come by and he would like put it under his nose and he'd be like, all right, let's coach this game. Like guys use it to get motivated.
Oh, believe me, no one on the football field looks as cool as Shane Leckler doing smelling salts walk before a punt and his team's like 3-10 on the season. But there's nothing cooler than that. Trust me, I understand that. But I'm telling you what they are for medically. And that's why the FAA banned it. Or at least recommended against it in 2024. And was it the FAA? I could have got that acronym totally wrong.
I'll go with that. That sounds right. But
the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, I don't think they were the ones that recommended it.
Yeah, Howard Hughes back in the day was really into smelling salts.
big smelling salts guy.
Big. We're really into growing his nails out too and pissing in mason jars, but loved his smelling salts.
Yeah, that's actually what they put on the movie poster for The Aviator. They put The Aviator, and on the bottom of that picture of Leo DiCaprio, it says, because of smelling salts.
Exactly. Like the ending of the movie was supposed to be wave of the future. Wave of the future. Wave of the future.
Well done.
Thank you. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We're coming to you on a Wednesday night. We'll talk a little bit about some football. Hang on, AJ Cruz and Rock a New Era. I know Lauren F's with me on the football. It's time to talk football, everybody. Giants, I mean, whatever. They went 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. Okay. With me up when they actually go on a run here. But it's football time. We got football coming up this Saturday, actually tomorrow too, Thursday. And a month from now, we'll actually have some games.
Come on,
so it's a little football today.
You got to be kidding me here. The Giants just won their first road trip since the first road trip of the season, and you're sitting here wanting to talk football.
Damn right I am, because you know what?
Football.
You know what? I don't care. I don't.
Derek, here's the thing. Here's my strongest take with baseball, because I like paying attention to the Giants on a day-to-day basis because,
well, of course, you're a fan.
It is my job, and I'm a fan, right? So I enjoy paying attention to it. I don't like to think big picture, which is automatically where you go with that team because you probably know they're not going anywhere. But I watch it for the love of the game, Derek, for the love of ball. Mm-hmm. And the thing that my strongest baseball take is not with the Giants. I feel much better about maybe the trade deadline thing kind of lit a fire under them and said, hey, you got to get going here because Buster doesn't even believe in you. They're just selling off players. I'm kind of over the team being in Colorado, a baseball team in Colorado.
You're over the Rockies existing?
I saw the stats from the Blue Jays game. And did you see the Blue Jays over this series?
No.
They scored 45 runs on 60 base hits in a 3-game series. And that is a franchise record. They beat the Rockies 20-1 today. If they're not going to field a competitive team and all your stadium is good for is for teams to maybe break out of an offensive funk, if you're going to move any team, wouldn't it be that team in Colorado that just doesn't seem to be going anywhere in any direction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care.
Probably unfair, Derek. It's probably unfair of me to say, and sorry to all the people out there, good people out there in Colorado, but you are good with your basketball team. Nuggets are I'd like to say well-run organization, but they did let go of their head coach and GM with just a handful of games left until the playoffs. So they still have been at the pinnacle, right? And they have in the last few years. So Nuggets are good. The hockey team, just fine. Stanley Cup final, that's probably the best team they have in Colorado right now is the Avalanche. But the Rockies, at one point they were good.
Well, nothing on the Broncos. I'm going to training camp tomorrow. I'm going to see them up close and personal.
Well, the Broncos, yeah, and actually, we'll talk more about the Broncos because I'm very interested to see what they look like in joint practices tomorrow. If any of the training camp reports have any merit, which we will get to. But
Lake merit.
But the Rockies, man, it's just compared to everywhere else in Colorado, it seems like that organization, at least the ownership of that organization, doesn't care about winning baseball games anymore. And I respect the history of it. I respect the Vinny Castillo and the Dante Bichette and Larry Walker trio, Todd Helton, baller. I respect all of that, Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't understand the point of this Rockies baseball team anymore. Move them.
Yeah. I mean, you want to move them?
No, I don't want to move them. But it's just I saw that score earlier. I tried to come up with a hot take, Derek, and it didn't really work out.
Yeah, I mean, they'll always have 2007 where they went on an epic run where they went undefeated until they got swept by the Red Sox themselves. So I don't know. I mean, the Rockies, they're a pitiful franchise. There's so many pitiful franchises in sports. Like I don't really care if they exist or don't exist. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know. Just move on. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough. Rocket New Era is bringing this up in the chat. Here. I want 95-7 versus KMBR softball challenge talk. Look, I know Dan Dibley brought this up on his show today. Whatever. If you want to have a softball challenge, I guess we could talk about it. I'm down to do boxing, 95-7 versus KMBR boxing. But also, I would just be completely honest. Dibbs didn't hit anybody up from KMBR. He just did this on his show today. So would have been nice if he did that ahead of time. But if he wants to do this, by all means, he's got my number. He can contact me anytime he wants. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I'll be in the bench.
We'll move on then.
I'll be in the bench waving my Odyssey flag.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, and who would like umpire? Should we get like Bonte or like who's like impartial now? Well, I guess Bonte does like hit still for them.
Yeah, Bonte wouldn't be impartial. Actually, I could see I could see Bonte just for the sake of it, just going against 95-7 and just like
I honestly could see that too.
Just to get a rise out of him. That'd be funny.
Yeah. But let's talk about some football. We got the Bills on Hard Knocks. We got the Raiders making a mysterious trade, and we got to do we usually do this every time. I mean, we do this every year, this time of year. We do Just Your Divisions, man, where we go through each division in the NFL and kind of break it down, what we think of each team, how they're going to finish. But real quick, did you watch this Hard Knocks new season last night with the Bills.
I watched it. Yeah, man.
And what'd you think?
I think this is Josh Allen's audition to be in that category of relatable, cool guy celebrities.
Yeah.
I think you have a few. I think you have, I don't know, some that come to mind is like Post Malone, Tom Holland from the Marvel movies. Timothy Chalamet kind of went on that press tour where he's like showing off, basketball knowledge and doing all those different things where people are like, man, I'm liking this Timothy Chalamet guy. So Josh Allen, I think, is auditioning for that. Tre'Davious White, got to be honest, I've never really wondered like what he's like. I just know he's gone through a bunch of injuries after a really promising early career out of LSU and with Buffalo. Turns out he's that in that same category. I think Tre'Davious White seems like the coolest dude. The thing but besides the individuals, the larger takeaway, man, is finally a team that's going to be contending.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more enticing. I'm so glad they bent the rules. It's just, hey, let's get the least exciting teams that are actually going to be put on the field, and let's put them in Hard Knocks just because they have a entertaining coach. It's different this time. This is a team that's actually going to be contending, and I know we're going to do our little AFC East preview today, but I don't think it's any mystery to anyone that team is going to be taking the division. They have goals of not just winning the division; they have goals of being the 1 seed. Like that's their main objective this year. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, they definitely should have been. I mean, in contention for that 1 seed. They had that bad loss to the LA Rams where they gave up 40 points in the process.
Right. Yeah.
But and I'm saying that like the Rams were bad. The Rams were a good team, but the Bills were a better team a season ago.
Yeah.
Just as far as Hard Knocks, yeah, it's clear that they want Josh Allen to be the star of this thing. Like in recent years, it's really gone away from the nice storylines of Hard Knocks, the guys that got cut or like the undrafted free agents that could make the team. It's really about let's put the biggest fucking guy front and center on this thing. And 2 years ago was Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. A year ago was Caleb Williams. Right away, they make no bones about it. It's Josh Allen doing an interview with them. And I mean, that's the way you want it to be. Like basically, they have to compete now with quarterback on Netflix, and that's Joe Burrow and Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes.
It's not even just quarterback on Netflix. Go to any team's YouTube channel now.
Yeah,
they have like their own version of it. I watched the one with the Jets. I watched the one with the Raiders. They have Behind the Shield. 49ers kind of behind the 8 ball on this one. I haven't really seen one for the Fort. Oh no, they have Brick by Brick. Never mind.
Brick by Brick.
They have Brick by Brick. Sorry, 49ers. I've seen that. That's a lie. Apologies. But they're competing with like every team's YouTube digital team now.
Yeah.
I don't even think about that. Like the magic of using that first episode to kind of bring you into the world of some 7th round draft pick who had no other option but to play football, and he's just trying to make the team, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they haven't really had that in the first episode.
No, and I mean like the unique nature of Hard Knocks has kind of gone away, like the way that you're talking about, like so many teams have their own YouTube channels where it's like we see this all the time now. So just focusing on the positives of the episode, I mean, yeah I enjoyed it. Like, looking at watching Josh Allen do his thing, like, compared to Joe Burrow and Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, he comes across the most likable, more down to earth. And, his life is pretty good right now. He's coming off a huge contract, an MVP season. He just got married to Haley Steinfeld. And by the way, one of the dumbest things this offseason was people like taking clips from Sinners and being like, boy, if I was Josh Allen, I would be very jealous of, Michael B. Jordan or whoever the hell in Sinners. And I'm like, it's a movie. It's a fucking movie. Well, at the end of the day, he actually goes home and sleeps with that woman.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. But I don't know. We've seen that all the time, though, where people who aren't in the thespian world of the Hollywood screen, of the silver screen, they don't really understand that it's like a professional thing.
I know.
So I'm sure there's been history where the significant other has been jealous, and those people saying that are just super insecure. And I don't think Josh Allen has that insecurity about him. I think he knows that he's doing just fine.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, he goes home to her. That's his wife. So yeah, I think like Sauce Gardner, I saw like earlier this year, was like, I'm not watching that Sinners movie out of respect for my man Josh Allen. I don't need to see his wife be doing that stuff. And I'm like, come on, man, it's a movie.
Well, I do think that maybe she's taught him a little bit of acting.
Josh Allen?
Yeah, because when he came across and said, "Oh, people actually knew that I got married," and he was kind of being sarcastic about it.
Yeah,
but it seemed like he didn't know. That was good on him. That was very well done. It was very convincing.
I would say he's the most genuine of like all the quarterbacks that we've seen this summer who like do documentaries. Like, yeah, he's the most down to earth and like relatable, I would say. Like Jared Goff was like that too, but I'll be honest, like his interactions with him and his wife, kind of dull. But, Josh Allen, seems like a normal dude. Although he is like, I thought it was pretty funny where he was in the huddle with the offensive lineman. He's referencing Galileo, the force of elevation, basically of gravity, like heavier objects will always fall faster. Did you see this part?
Did you write this down?
I did, because I thought it was so interesting that he was like, Josh Allen's a smart cat, where he's like, you guys know about Galileo? And everybody's like, yeah. And like all the offensive linemen are smart as shit too. Like, yeah, I know about Galileo.
Yeah. We learned that. Offensive linemen, going back to the Joe Burrow thing and Ted Karras, offensive linemen have the most, not obscure, but I'd say they have very important knowledge that you should probably know.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're smart cats. But yeah, the Josh Allen stuff was fun. Tre'Davious White passing out ice cream and going up the hill after a practice. I never really have seen him in interviews, so it was good to get to know him a little bit. Coming back to Buffalo after a season where he was with the Rams and Ravens.
Yeah,
Deion Dawkins drifting with his kids, I thought was fun, and I also was thinking simultaneously, like, those kids too young to be drifting like that. At the same time, he's their father, so I think he knows what's best. But I mean, they're also got helmets, and I'm sure they're very safe when they do that shit.
I always forget that guy's a tackle. I don't know why. It's because he's bigger. I always think he's a guard. And then I remember, oh, yeah, he's blocking his blind side.
Yeah.
Is he blocking the blind side? Is he the left tackle or the right tackle?
He's left tackle.
Yeah, he's a left tackle. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
he's just so big in stature. You wouldn't think a guy like that can move. But I guess it's the same with Trent Williams. But still, I think Deion Dawkins is taller than Trent Williams is. So
he's a big man.
I'm always taken aback by how big he is and the fact that he can play tackle, which you need to be limber to play that position.
Yeah, and then you see like Maxwell Hairston, their first round draft pick, the rookie corner, get hurt. But it sounds like he'll be back maybe by week 1 or later than that. I mean, it wasn't an ACL tear or anything like that. But yeah, not so much with James Cook. I'll say this. Like, Mad Dog on First Take just went off on Hard Knocks and said it was terrible, unwatchable. It is what it is at this point. Is it great? No. But it's just behind the scenes of football practice. So either you know what you're getting into at this point. Like I accept it for what it is. It's going to be a quarterback showcase, and you're not going to see guys get cut anymore. You're not going to see really inside stuff as it pertains to the team. You're going to see more of them, in their personal life. And then they're going to do like cheesy montages to some knockoff music that sounds like actual commercial music, but not really that music because they have to save their ass and not get sued. So as long as you know that going into it, I don't know. It's just another NFL thing to watch while we get up for football. Like, is it must-see TV like in years past when Rodgers was on Hard Knocks or Gruden was on Hard Knocks with Antonio Brown and his feet? No. You can skip this if you want to, but I like football and I watched it, so is it amazing? No, but it's entertaining, sure.
Are people like saying something? You're seeming you're being oddly defensive.
I'm not being defensive. I mean, like, yeah.
You're like, I like watching it, but you don't have to. It's like, are people complaining about it?
Yeah. Mad Dog, this morning on First Take. Like
I mean, he's just trying to come up with anything because there's nothing that pissed him off during a slow time in sports.
Yeah.
He's already used up the Shohei Ohtani angle about how he's not the face of Major League Baseball. What else is he going to have?
Well, who is then?
I don't know.
Ohtani's the face of baseball. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but like he doesn't like that. Remember him and Stephen A had those types of conversations.
Because he doesn't speak English.
Yeah, or like Mike Trout, all that stuff. Anyway,
Mike Trout's not as big as Ohtani. It's the truth.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but point being, he was just trying to find any content. I don't believe he actually thinks that. I feel like Hard Knocks is, I don't know. I think it's met with a fairly positive reception.
Yes and no. I think some people are kind of over it, but whatever. I mean, like at the end of the day, the ratings are going to be like it's HBO uncensored material with a football team. You're going to watch it, and honestly, at the same time, this Cowboy show that's going to come out in 2 weeks, yeah, it's probably going to be ridiculous and bullshit and just Jerry Jones propaganda. I'll click it on probably, and hate myself for doing so, but it's getting me ready for football. It's the truth.
Look, man, the Cowboys are a fascinating team. Don't let Jerry Jones distract you from that. And I know that people hate the Cowboys out in San Francisco, and that makes sense. Like I totally understand why. But the Cowboys are a pretty fascinating organization.
They are. Just real quick, if I can, did you see the clip today of Jane Slater interviewing Jerry Jones?
Didn't he say something like he got the stadium done for a handshake, or he bought the team for a handshake? And
yes,
that's what he needs this deal to be with Micah, and he's not losing any sleep over it.
In 1989, when he acquired the Cowboys, me and I guess Tex Ram, we had a handshake agreement, and then we worked out the particulars later on, and that's how we did deals. I'm like Jerry, that's 1989, and also that sounds basically like Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday when he's trying to get a new contract, and Cameron Diaz like keeps telling him like, you know, we'll have to sit down at the end of the season. We'll have to get your agent involved. And Al Pacino goes, you know how me and your father worked out our contracts? We had a beer, we shook hands, and that's how it was done. That's Jerry Jones. It's like you're fucking asinine to think that some guy's agent want to get involved.
Well, Al Pacino is technically Micah Parsons in this situation.
Yes. Kinda. I actually would think that...
Welcome to Bleacher Report.
I actually think that Cameron Diaz is more like Micah and Al Pacino's Jerry Jones, where he wants to do things the old-fashioned way, and she's like, no, this is the right way to do things. This is the new age of how to do things.
So it's a little bit of the opposite, Derek. But we're moving in the right direction. You had the right idea. I like that you fit in the Al Pacino impression.
Thank you. I mean, I had to. When he said we shook hands, that immediately I thought of Al Pacino being like, we shook hands, we had a beer, and I had a contract. That's how we did things. All right. So yeah, that's our 2 cents on the Bills for Hard Knocks. Do you want to do a little just your divisions, man? AFC East?
We could do that because coming up later, I will have the segment for you called "Is There Any Merit to That?"
I like it.
I give you some training camp storylines and you discuss that. But however, we are not doing any teams from the AFC East. That is by design, Derek. I am a podcast pro. So we continue moving forward here.
Right. And just to answer Pat H's question, Tarek, how many games do you think the Raiders will win this season? Can't answer that right now, Pat H. There will be a day and time where we review the AFC West, and I will give you my predictions then.
Do we have to give our predictions here, or we can wait for predictions?
No. We usually do it like Labor Day weekend where we do our full-on like record predictions. So give us time on that one, Pat H.
Solid.
All right. Just your divisions, man. The AFC East, obviously the Buffalo Bills have dominated this division since 2020, so for the last 5 seasons. And I don't see this changing anytime soon. But let's just go through it with the Buffalo Bills. This offseason, they, kind of relatively the same team. They acquired Josh Palmer, who's a very solid wide receiver with the Chargers for a lot of years. They drafted Maxwell Hairston, their first-round draft pick. I don't know if you'll see him opening day for the Bills, I just said a couple minutes ago, he had that ACL injury, but I don't think it's that serious, so he should be good to go. And I guess the big one was acquiring Joey Bosa and moving on from Von Miller. Did they get better? I don't really know if they got better. Honestly, as long as they have Josh Allen, I think they'll be fine. I think as long as they have Josh Allen, they have a solid group of wide receivers, and Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. I guess the biggest question mark with them is, what are they going to do with James Cook, because Kyron Williams just got paid yesterday. I think it was 3 years for $33 million. And I read somewhere that James Cook wanted to be in the same ballpark as Saquon Barkley, which that's insane. Like James Cook, really good season a year ago, 16 touchdowns, but you're not Saquon Barkley. So they'll probably get that deal done. But if I had to say like they did anything significant this offseason, not really. Mac Hollins left to be barefoot in New England. But yeah, dude, as long as they have Josh Allen, I think they'll always be contenders. And really, like we'll go through all these divisions, but I'll just say this off the bat. I've heard a lot of people on national shows say the Denver Broncos could be Super Bowl contenders. No, not at all. I'm sorry. There's only 3 teams in the AFC that can be Super Bowl contenders: the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills. That's it, in my opinion. But as far as the Bills, they're always going to be contenders with Josh Allen. He is, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in all of football. So my only question is, can he elevate them to beat the Chiefs when it matters? And they always beat them in the regular season, but will they finally face them in whatever, the divisional round, the AFC Championship game, and be the representative in the AFC? That's my biggest question mark every single year with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think the Buffalo Bills here, we're entering a year, man, where it's damn near Super Bowl or bust. You know, they are the Leo DiCaprio of the NFL pre-2013. Like 2016.
Pre-Revenant?
Pre-Revenant DiCaprio, where they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride, always getting nominated for Best Actor, never winning it. The Bills have obviously reached the heights of the Super Bowl in the 90s. Didn't work out, 4 straight. That sucked. And they still haven't won one. And now they can't even get to the Super Bowl here because of a couple of guys named Patrick Mahomes and, well, I guess not really Lamar Jackson considering what happened last year. But anyway, point being, the Bills, I think, are due this year. And I don't really think there's any other conversation to be had. Like, they look like a Super Bowl team. They're built. They have that veteran core. The James Cook thing, I don't think there's anything to worry about. That's just I think that's an agent telling him, like, dude, just don't suit up. Don't practice. I'm trying to get this negotiation done here. You're probably going to get signed. I just got to come up with the right deal for you. I guess my one thing, and I don't know, dude, this is such a boring take. You ready for the most boring take of all time?
Sure, lay it on me.
Injuries. How healthy is that defense going to be? Joey Bosa, obviously, one of those guys. Matt Milano, key there. It looks like Tre'Davious White's going to have a big role in this secondary. Can he stay healthy? So, I mean, it goes for every team, right? And I guess that might be a good thing because there aren't too many positional, I'd say, gaps in terms of talent where it's like, oh, this is something that's going to hold the team back. I'm not really seeing that with the Bills. They're due. Maybe the only thing holding them back is Sean McDermott. Maybe that's another thing. Like Sean McDermott, if you end up, falling in the playoffs once again, what's his seat going to look like? So I guess that's another thing too, but that's also far down the line. They're not going to make any drastic move in the middle of the season. So yeah, man, I mean, I think they're talked about in the way they should be talked about, which is a team that has as much pressure on them really as anyone in the NFL to not just get to the Super Bowl, but win the damn thing.
One thing I always think about with the Buffalo Bills is how much better they are offensively with Joe Brady as their play caller. I mean, how much I hated Ken Dorsey. Like, it was basically like doing 4 verticals on Madden all the time. Like, I didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
So he's going to get some looks as head coach. And if they don't win it again, I do wonder if they'll ever, if Joe, I think, Bagula that owns the Bills would be like, you can't lose this guy. Will we ever go with Joe Brady over Sean McDermott? Now you're going with a guy that's never coached before to a guy that's been your, head coach for the past, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
So I always think about that, but that's down the line. Yeah, I mean, like if I had to say like the strongest point of the Bills is obviously Josh Allen, but their defensive line with AJ Epinesa and Gregory Rousseau, now Joey Bosa, Ed Oliver, they're pretty loaded defensively too. The wide receiving core is, kind of interesting because there's no number one guy, but I think Keon Coleman is obviously a quote machine, and
well, that's someone to watch out for. That guy's like,
Yeah.
if you've read up on Bill's training camp at all, like he's kind of had an up and down camp so far. It
Really?
feels
Okay.
like with a lot of receivers, you kind of see rave reviews if they deserve it. Like for example, Ricky Pearsall, you're seeing a lot of that from 49ers, those on the 49ers beat, that he's killing it in camp. I haven't really seen that from Keon. I'd say at first it was just bad. Like he just didn't look the same at the beginning of training camp, but now he's kind of on the up and up. So maybe they're using this time to like develop, and that whole thing where people need to be reminded that this is practice.
Yeah.
Develop.
Yeah. I mean, he will. And I think that if I had expected anything in Keon Coleman's game, is he's going to be that big body red zone threat. And they obviously have the 2 tight ends set with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. I think Khalil Shakir got banged up a little bit in practice, but I think he'll be there probably for week 1. They got Josh Palmer, like I said. So, not like the flashiest wide receiver room, but when you're paying your quarterback, $55 million a year, and he's got the most guaranteed money in all of football, that's bound to happen. That's the same thing that's going to happen to Patrick Mahomes as well. So, yeah, I would say expect the Bills to be Super Bowl contenders once again. I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's funny looking at like the juxtaposition of. I know I'm kind of going off topic here, and I'm going towards the NFC, and I'm going towards the North. But when you see the juxtaposition of Josh Allen just throwing dots in camp and on Hard Knocks, and then you cut to that little video on social media of Caleb Williams not able to hit a target in the net, then having a little hissy fit afterwards. Like that's what I mean. It's kind of what a Super Bowl quarterback would look like, right? And what you see from the Bears is a quarterback who still needs to improve on some things. It's just funny looking at those two kind of contrasting a little bit.
Yeah. I will say, though, not to go full Kyle Brandt and be an apologist for the Bears while I'm wearing my ESPN Mickey Mouse shirt.
Great shirt.
Great shirt. Do they really feel that way? I don't know. They do pick and choose which clips to show. And yes, Caleb Williams does look bad when he throws a hissy fit when he can't get the ball in the net. But then I saw a clip also where he was just rifling him in accurately.
Totally. Yeah, but one video, man.
Still I know.
Pretty poor video.
Yeah, it's a poor video, and Dov Kleiman gets us all with those. All right, moving on here in the just your divisions, man. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins, where this offseason, as far as adding players, they got that big trade where they traded away Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who they had years ago in 2019. They drafted Kenneth Grant, the big nose tackle from Michigan. But basically, the Dolphins are kind of in the last dance phase, like where the Niners were a year ago, where they have to win this season. And if they don't, heads will roll. Tua being injured, obviously with the concussions, not his fault, but we'll see if he can protect himself better and see if he can actually win a playoff game. Tyreek Hill has to earn the respect of the locker room again. Mike McDaniel, it seems to me, dude, like I really like him, but at the same time, they just don't respect him as a coach. And Tyreek Hill, I guess, was calling him out or questioning his decision-making in a goal line drill where Devon A-Chain was in there. And then Mike McDaniel called him out. Mike McDaniel called him out the next day, being like, Tyreek can mind his own business. Do you have that clip I sent you of Mike McDaniel the other day?
I do.
Yeah, let's play that real quick. I think that sums up how Mike McDaniel feels right now being head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
You should stand corrected. Good morning. False. Great morning. Let's go.
Why great?
What makes this one great? Because we're another day closer to death.
Good Lord.
Now, that's his humor. You can take that a couple ways. You could say, Mike McDaniel is being negative and being like, I hate this job. Or he's being like, let's live as much as possible while we are still here. So I think Mike McDaniel, though, like I saw another clip, I think we played it on the show, Steven, where he was all fed up with Jalen Ramsey and said, I don't really give a shit if he's going to practice or not. I think that he may have to lay the law down this season, and I don't know how that will come across where he's been, the cool guy in capris in their meetings, and, he's very relatable to the younger guys. I mean, there's a reason why Vic Fangio left. He didn't respect Mike McDaniel either. And I don't want it to be just because he's a little guy and doesn't look like a football player. That doesn't mean shit. Bill Belichick doesn't look like a football player, but he commanded a room. Like the guys that Mike McDaniel is associated with, the Kyle Shanahans, the Sean McVays, the Matt LaFleurs, those guys know how to be leaders of men while also being great play callers. And I think that Mike McDaniel is a great play caller, but is not a good leader of men right now. I think that's showing. So as far as the Dolphins, sorry, go ahead.
It reminds me of, just like that interview you guys had with Shanahan. Great questions, by the way, by you. That interview with Shanahan.
I had to get physical this morning. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Where he essentially said, like, Robert Saleh kind of had some sympathy for me just because there's a lot of things you deal with as a head coach that you don't as a coordinator. And I think Mike McDaniel's feeling the wrath of that. Look, here's the thing with that. I'm going to take you back to my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
English. Her name was Miss Dwyer. And
where's the story going?
Our class was terrible.
Okay.
Treated her very poorly to the point where she didn't come back the second semester. Where did you think this was going, Derek? Did you think this was a Van Halen situation? What do you think this was?
It started off like an erotic novel where it's like high school. Her name was Mrs. Whatever.
Fair point. So we were so poorly behaved. I wasn't. I was a favorite. All right. I was a kiss ass when I was a student.
Of course,
I really was. Yeah, of course. I was. I didn't like making people mad. I'm not big on that. Like,
you were never the class clown.
Well, I was, but I do it in a healthy way, Derek. I'm a comedic genius when I was in high school in the classrooms. All right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was the complete opposite, where I was the class clown, but to the point where teachers were like, "I need him out of my class now. I can't teach him anymore."
That sucks. But
for who?
But it got like really contentious at times. Some students just didn't respect her at all, and she didn't have any control over it. Point being, it sounds like that's what's happening with McDaniel and the Dolphins, where it doesn't seem like the players want to respect him. And it sounds like he has just been fed up with it. But your job as the head coach is to get these guys in line. And he clearly hasn't done that. So, yeah, Mike McDaniel and Miss Dwyer from my sophomore English class, 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, I think that with Mike McDaniel, this happened, late a year ago, too, if you remember that Hard Knocks with the Dolphins, or maybe it was 2 years ago, whatever season that was. It was a season ago where Jalen Ramsey and other players were showing up late, and he was finding them, and they were like, whatever, I don't give a shit. So that's going to be interesting to me. And, yeah, they basically have maxed out the credit card. With the same thing with the Rams.
Nice.
Like that?
Nice metaphor.
You like that? Well, they have. They did all these contracts where Tua is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in football. You got Tyreek Hill in the last year of his deal. Jalen Waddle making, I think, close to $28 million a year. So, yeah, this is their last dance where something has to give, and I'm sure that they're not going to get rid of Tua. This is probably Tyreek's last season with the Dolphins, unless they just have a shitty season and they trade him at the deadline, or maybe even trade him before the season starts. It's bad when you end the season, he's like, I'm out. And that's not like, I think people are brushing that off like, oh, he was just mad. You don't say it like that way and expect to come back and everybody like gives you hugs. Like Tua was honest, and I appreciate that with Tua. But yeah, dude, I'm very low on the Dolphins this year. I don't think they're going to be a very good team. I think that, Chris Greer, I believe it's Chris Greer, if I'm not confusing him with Mike Greer.
You're good. Okay,
Chris Greer, GM of the Dolphins, and head coach Mike McDaniel. They're in a different position, obviously, than John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They haven't been. They've been to the playoffs, but haven't won. And I think this is their last dance, where Mike McDaniel could be gone, Chris Greer could be gone, probably Tyreek Hill will be gone. So they need to win this season. If they don't, heads will roll probably.
They tried with a new era. They tried creating this dynamic with Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. It hasn't worked out, and I don't know what to expect from Tua this year. I'm just hoping he doesn't suffer another head injury, even though he basically tells people to stop worrying about me. He knows what he's doing, but still doesn't make me any less worried about what you could possibly see out there on the field with him this season.
Yeah.
Because it kind of jarring at times to see when guys get concussions like that. So,
of course.
Yeah, there's that.
Sorry, just briefly on that. Like, I know in the past I've said, like, that's Tua's business, but it is alarming when he does the fencing thing with his hands. And you're like, ooh, that's gruesome. Yeah.
Yep. Very interested though I will be keeping tabs on Darren Waller whenever he actually practices.
I forgot about him. Yeah.
And then apparently I'd be very interested to see if this guy has like a Zach Bond like comeback. But Willie Gay Jr., previously of the Chiefs, 1 year with the Saints, he's been the guy in Dolphins training camp this year. So maybe he's going to be on a Zach Bond like run with the Eagles where he finally found his home. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. But in totality, no, I'm not expecting much from them this year. Maybe more, maybe as much as these other two teams I am, because it's a fairly we should move on for these next two here. We're taking a while on just the AFC East, but they might be the AFC least division this year.
Yeah, I see what you did there with the rhyme scheme.
Ooh.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to the New England Patriots, where Mike Vrabel is the leader there, and he's breaking up fights and getting bloody cheeks. See that today?
I did.
That was like a graphic that was sent out from Schefter or somebody. I was like, that thing needs to be a graphic?
Yeah. Well, get ready for a lot of that, Derek. ESPN is going to turn into graphic central that gets viral on social media. That's all they're going to care about.
I know I talked about this already with ESPN and NFL Network, but Lauren F. actually brought this up with on Twitter, where she was like, "How do you think they're going to cover the league now?" And I was like, "Probably not very well. If you're in bed with the NFL, like, they're going to be honest about some of these stories that come out? Probably not. That was a big thing with NFL Network for years. They couldn't comment on Brian Flores or any of these other, lawsuits. Now watch ESPN be major shills.
Yeah, not going to be fun.
No.
For journalism's sake, but I think the Athletic and I don't know, maybe the Ringer and what else? What other publication? Yahoo. They're probably, get the Mr. Burns fingers right now, just because ESPN can't do any real journalism without having
your guy Florio and Pablo Torre. Sure.
There you go. Yeah. Well, Pablo Torre is going to be with the Athletic now, so there you have it. Patriots, Vrabel, bloody nose. Go.
Yeah. Vrabel, I mean, he's the head honcho there now, and I think that he's going to turn them into a competitive team, like where Gerard Mayo was there, and nice enough guy, really, likable, of course, for Robert Kraft's point of view, but not a good head coach. That was apparent. So, they made a shit ton of moves this offseason. They got Stephon Diggs and his pink substance. They got Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis. They drafted Will Campbell in the first round with the 4th overall pick. I guess, my expectation is they're going to be a feisty team on defense, and they're, the way that they got who else? Travion Henderson, I believe, is the running back from Ohio State. They improved the receiving core, like I said, Stephon Diggs and Matt Collins. I actually think that the Patriots are going to be like, I'll say this now, I'm not going to give a win total out for the Raiders, but I expect the biggest turnarounds this season to be from the Patriots and Las Vegas Raiders because of their head coaches, because of Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll being leaders of men. And I don't know if they're going to be playoff teams, but I think both teams a year ago only won like 4 games. They're going to improve upon that because I just think they're going to be a competitive team based on the guys they have running the ship. The biggest question mark I have is Drake May going to make that jump to being one of the best quarterbacks in football, one of the better younger quarterbacks in football? And is that going to happen with Josh McDaniels? Like, is Robert Kraft just doing a solid to his guy that he potentially wanted to take over once Bill was gone? He decided to go the route of Gerard Mayo and then Mike Vrabel. And Vrabel's a better choice than McDaniels at this point because it's too late for Josh McDaniels. He's not getting another head coaching opportunity where he, definitely burned bridges with the Broncos and Raiders. I think that's just my biggest thing is, can Drake May thrive in this offense? And can Josh McDaniels actually come up with a good offense when Bill's not around, because that was not the case with the Raiders, and also with the Broncos back in the day. So yeah, I actually, if I had to like put like a ranking system right now, and we'll do this later on when we do our season previews, our season preview predictions and whatnot, I would put the Bills number one, obviously. I would put the Patriots number two above the Miami Dolphins. I think the Patriots are going to be a better team than the Dolphins this year.
I think it's a bold take. I think that's pretty bold.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not that high on them.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't really see enough firepower in the offense. A lot of it's contingent on Drake May, but regardless of the coaching change, you make very good points about Mike Vrabel, and sure, they're going to have a feisty defense, but as far as I'm concerned, they haven't really made too many changes on the defensive side of the ball. And last year, they weren't the worst in the NFL by any stretch, but they were in the bottom third of the league. I don't know. I'm just not completely high on them. Maybe they can turn it around and completely surprise me. And Drake May just looks like a stud. And instead of the sophomore slump, whatever the anti-sophomore slump is, I don't know what you call that. Do we have a name for that?
An anti-sophomore slump?
Well, sophomore slump is the sophomore slump. That's common. But is there like a sophomore something else?
A sophomore, I'm trying to think of alliteration here.
The sophomore shine.
Sophomore success.
The sophomore success. Will he be in that category? And I don't know yet, because the training camp reviews haven't been, staggering. They haven't been, he's guaranteed to do that. He's making quite a few mistakes, but that's also what training camp is for. So they're going to have to show me quite a bit in the regular season if I want to be high on them. It's like it's like a Marvel movie. It's like, it looks fine, but I have to actually watch it if I want to make a judgment on it. So let's see it in action.
Okay. I will argue that they did make a lot of defensive additions this year, getting Milton Williams and all the guys I said. I think Christian Gonzalez is one of the best cornerbacks in football right now.
Well, he's also getting hurt quite a bit in camp.
Is he too now?
Yeah.
Damn. Well, still, I'm pretty high on the Patriots. That just my thing is Josh McDaniels going to ruin this thing? It did Mike Vrabel begrudgingly hire him as offensive coordinator just to do Kraft a solid?
That's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have history. Vrabel was a linebacker when Josh was the OC, but in order to get the job, did Kraft probably tell him, like, I want Joshy back? And he was like, all right, we'll try it out for a year.
Had to throw Kraft a cheese stick. Kraft.
Oh. Yeah. String cheese.
String cheese that you eat solid. That you don't.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't yuck my yum, yuck my yum, Steven. I enjoy
your yum whenever I want to yuck your yum.
How dare you?
Don't tell me not to yuck your yum when I'll yuck your yum.
I think that's rude. Last one here in the AFC East. The New York Jets. And they finally moved on from Aaron Rodgers. They got, I believe the GM's name is Dan Mowgli or something like that. Aaron Glenn is the head coach. And they obviously added Justin Fields as their new quarterback and Armand Membu as their first-round draft pick. I guess the biggest questions I have with this team are, is Justin Fields really a starting quarterback in this league? Is he going to elevate them to being good? Is it a upgrade over Aaron Rodgers to begin with? And then secondly, is this defense as good as we thought they were? Because a year ago they were not. And we thought that just the addition of Aaron Rodgers would be enough for Quentin Williams and CJ Mosley and Sauce Gardner. And honestly, I was very disappointed with the way they played a year ago. Like, you could be, very negative about the way that the Jets offense was with Aaron Rodgers a year ago, but that defense was not as advertised. So will Aaron Glenn really be the difference maker, or is he just going to be a rah-rah guy that, tells the media, mind your business, but then it doesn't equate to wins? That's my biggest questions with the Jets.
I have just one, really. And I need to look at how many attempts they took last year. Yeah, they had the fewest rushing attempts in the NFL. I should have done a little bit more.
The Jets did?
Yeah, I should have
Wow.
had a little bit more of that research because I was going to ask, do we need to start putting them in that category of maybe they could get the most rush attempts by a team in a single season because of how much they're going to be running the football with Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Because do you know who holds the record, by the way, for that? Most rushing attempts in a single season. Do you know the team?
Ravens?
No, the Oakland Raiders in 1977. They had 681 rushing attempts as a team total.
Oh, attempts. Wow.
Yeah, the Eagles had
Yeah.
621 last year.
Who did that? Sorry.
The Eagles.
Oh, with Saquon? They had the second most?
They had the most. They had 621. The Ravens had second most, but they weren't anywhere close. They were 554.
Gotcha. So you're saying they had the most attempts at football, but the most all-time in a single season are the Raiders back in 1977.
Yeah, and I was about ready to say, should we put the Jets above the Raiders in that category because of how much they're going to be running the football? But they were dead last year, so probably not.
Yeah, I mean, in today's NFL, I don't think anybody's running the football that amount of times.
Yeah, and also like the attempts also count as the tush pushes, so you got to account for all the tush pushes that they ran.
True.
But,
yeah.
You know, I wonder if they'll maybe beat. You know, we'll look at the Ravens, who are a traditional rushing team with both the quarterback and the running back. Maybe the Lions, maybe they're in the, you know, they go from the 360s range to the 540, 550 range of rushing attempts this year. That's what I'm going to be looking at with the Jets. You said that with the defense, and it's a great point. But I just want to see that team that's just like the quintessential running team, and maybe they could be a lot of fun if Justin Fields stays disciplined, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tanner Engstrand is their offensive coordinator, who was with Ben Johnson a year ago with the Lions. So they ran the ball a fair amount. I just don't know. I really don't know if Justin Fields is going to be that guy. I think that they signed him because they need a starting quarterback. He's not the future. It's kind of the same deal, like kind of a little bit like with Geno, a little bit with the Raiders, where it's just a guy. Like he's the guy. There's no other guy right now, but he's the long-term placeholder, like you put it a couple of episodes ago, where it makes Garrett Wilson happy because they were college teammates, but the long-term answer at quarterback, I don't know if that's Justin Fields. I really don't. And I don't know if he's a starting quarterback in this league. I think he was a backup with the Steelers for a reason, and they switched to Russell Wilson. And yeah, he just wanted assurances that he was going to be the starting quarterback. He had a chance with the Steelers this season, but yeah, it's funny enough that the Steelers and Jets kind of flip-flop, where Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers, Justin Fields goes to the Jets, and they'll play week 1. But yeah, I really don't know about Justin Fields. I have no idea if he's going to be that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally forgot he had that toe injury to start training camp too. So,
I mean, did you forget about Mike Greenberg acting like he was assassinated on live TV?
Oh, I did not. That's one of my favorite podcast moments of 2025.
Yeah, well, remember that sound. Ridiculous. So yeah, that's the AFC East. That's what we think of these teams right now. We'll do a new division next episode, but I think we're all pretty high on the Bills. I think like something astronomical would have to happen, or not astronomical, I guess catastrophic would have to happen to Josh Allen for us not to be confident that the Bills win that division.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep. Alrighty. Not much going on in the NFL as far as like news, but the Raiders did make an interesting trade the other day where I gotta be honest. I'm not familiar with this guy's game a lot. I saw him play a little bit. I'm not watching as much Raider games in detail as I was in the past when I was a fan, but you watch this guy play, and a lot of people think that he's one of the better younger corners in the league, or just on the team right now, or was on the team. Jakorian Bennett was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for their defensive tackle, Thomas Booker. And I get it. The Raiders don't have Christian Wilkins anymore, so they need a run stuffer in the middle there next to Adam Butler. But I heard a lot of good things about Jakorian Bennett. Didn't allow a touchdown a season ago in coverage. Didn't get an interception either. But when Pete Carroll was talking glowingly about his secondary, that included Lonnie Johnson, who sustained an injury. I guess they're expecting him to come back at some point this season, but he broke his fibula. And then, Jakorian Bennett's not on the team anymore, so he must have felt really good about his secondary to move on from Bennett. But you would know him better than me, Steven. What do you think about this move that they're moving on from this young corner?
Yeah, dude, I am still kind of scratching my head.
Yeah.
With this move, especially with the way Pete talked about him. Now you don't have to look any further than just. I know I'm just going off training camp reports here, but we have nothing really else to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like the two rookie cornerbacks and the two rookie corner, or not the two rookie cornerbacks, one rookie cornerback, one newcomer, and Eric Stokes. All of them seem to have leapfrogged him where you'd expect him to be the number one guy. I felt solid. I felt really good about the secondary before Nate Hobbs went to Green Bay. I'm like, okay, you got Nate Hobbs, you got Jakorian Bennett. They're actually building something here in the secondary, but he fell out of favor. And I wonder if this is an indictment on him or an indictment on how they feel about the defensive line. And they just felt desperate to get a defensive tackle. And this was the only way of doing that, because I don't think you make this move based on talent alone. Like, okay, he's not playing with the ones like you'd expect him to, but a talented player with upside like that, you'd like depth. You love depth in the secondary. So it's still kind of a head scratcher for me. But again, I think it's way more that they haven't found a solid replacement yet for Christian Wilkins, and they're still kind of auditioning people. I think there's, we've brought up the name Tonka Hemingway on the pod.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The rookie, but it looked like, and to be honest, I can't remember his name. He's a second-year player. Lau, I think is his last name. It looked like he was going to be the starting defensive tackle. Now I think this kind of questions that. So, I think it's more of an indictment on that. Still kind of head scratching why it had to be Jakorian Bennett of all people. And the way that it's being billed right now is that Howie Roseman made another move where he fleeced the other team so he could get a star player on the rise. And I don't think there's any question now that the Eagles secondary is probably the best in the NFL.
Yeah, and I still am expecting them to sign Justin Simmons at some point, given the connection with him and Vic Fangio. But just looking at the defensive tackle market as far as free agents, not a lot of great options. You got Roquan Davis, Linval Joseph, who's 36 years old. Mo Hurst, who the Raiders know from back in the day when they drafted him. Quinton Jefferson, pretty good player in this league, but older. They just wanted depth there at defensive tackle or needed to replace Christian Wilkins. But I can't say anything right now, being prisoner in the moment of this move. But if the Raiders secondary is brutal, we'll look back to this move and be like, why did you do this?
Yep.
So that's all I can say about it right now. I've heard good things about Jakorian Bennett, but I can't say with certainty that this is a bad move. If they really needed help with defensive tackle wise in the middle, and I don't know if Thomas Booker is going to be the starting defensive tackle for their team opposite Adam Butler, but I read somewhere that people really like Thomas Booker with the Eagles. I heard a lot of Raider fans upset about Jakorian Bennett. Who knows? But if it bites the Raiders in the ass, we'll look back and be like, you could have other options there at defensive tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's for depth's sake, right? But if you look at the depth chart, Darian Porter, the quarterback turned, I believe the quarterback turned cornerback, or is the wide receiver turned cornerback? Either way.
I believe it's wide receiver. I could be wrong there, but I think it's wide receiver.
He's listed as this starting corner. And then Jakorian Richardson, who is, I think he's in his second or third year in the league. He's Devin White's cousin. He's apparently impressed at training camp too. So I don't, but again, like for depth's sake, why would you do this? Like, if he's not the starter, fine. Why would you trade away a guy like that right now?
Yeah.
It's kind of, again, it's still a head scratcher, but you know what? It's John Spytek's team, and I kind of trust his instincts.
I do too.
This one a little questionable though. Yeah,
it could be, but I do think that out of anybody that's been general manager of the Raiders in the past few seasons, from Ziegler to Telesco to now John Spytek, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. And I know it's his first time doing it, but the fact that he's worked with so many experienced head coaches and executives, I have to believe that John Spytek is going to do a good job. Just real quick, too, yesterday, Keenan Allen signed with the Chargers. Kind of expected that, and it's a good fit for him to end his career with them. But it makes me wonder if the Raiders need to – we'll see what happens this preseason. But, not surprising that people haven't signed Amari Cooper, but I do wonder if the Raiders have enough depth wide receiver-wise right now. So that's another move that I'm kind of waiting for, but I don't know if the Raiders are going to do that. That would be, it's one thing for Keenan Allen to go back to the Chargers, the Raiders with Amari Cooper. That would be nice, but I don't know if they're going to go that route. And also, just real quick on the Niners releasing Greg Joseph, and people are like, oh, so now we got to work with Jake Moody. I think Matt Mayoko said it best today with me and Copes. Jake Moody is up against Jake Moody. I don't think that there's really much that Greg Joseph could have done to have him beat out Jake Moody. Just the bottom line is, if Jake Moody starts missing kicks in preseason, then they'll move on from him. But also, I would give him the benefit of the doubt just because he was injured a season ago. I think that he is just basically the whipping boy for fans because he'll miss kicks, but also you forget that he can boot a 50-yard field goal, and he's young too. So I would tell everybody, calm down on Jake Moody. I think he'll be just fine, and I wouldn't get too wrapped up in a kicker. That's the least of my worries. Think about the defense and all the holes there, the wide receiving core, the offensive line, the health of McCaffrey. There's bigger things to worry about than the kicker right now.
I know I talk about myself a lot, Derek, but I feel like my kicking take was ahead of its time on this podcast.
With Moody?
The Moody and Greg Joseph thing, where I said, you better hope that Moody wins that job. Because Greg Joseph was on his 13th team in his 8th season, and there's a reason for that. If Jake Moody would have lost that job and Greg Joseph's the best backup option, guaranteed you would have been calling for a new kicker the second he misses a 50-plus yard field goal, because that's where he struggles most. That's where he struggled most throughout his career. So, bone up on the kicking stats if you're going to go at Jake Moody like that. And don't get me wrong, the lowest percentage in the NFL last year. I get it. But, I mean, a kicker had an ankle injury. What do you want him to do?
Exactly. With the kicking, I do think that Jake Moody will be fine, and he'll be your starting kicker week 1 for the 49ers. All right, Steven. You want to play a little game when it comes to training camp storylines.
Yes, Derek.
So, in the vein of Dennis from It's Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's doing like a podcast with D, and he's like, "No, I believe there's a war going on." Is that true? We're gonna do a little. Does this have any merit?
Mm-hmm. Damn it! I wish I had some music for that.
I know
you sold it perfectly.
What would have been perfect was the Sunny in Philadelphia music.
Damn, we should have produced this a little bit better. All right, so this is the debut of a new segment. Is there any merit to that? We go through training camp storylines, and Derek, I give you a storyline. I give you the overarching take, and you tell me, is there any merit to that? Okay, we're going to go over to Minnesota, where J.J. McCarthy, he's been underwhelming so far in training camp. Some lower reports. Some say there's early regret in them moving on from Sam Darnold and letting him go to Seattle and sticking with JJ. Derek, is there merit to that?
Well, Steven, I can't say right now because I got to see this kid in action. The only action I've ever seen of JJ McCarthy as far as the NFL is him playing in a preseason game against the Raiders last year.
Right, and it was a quarter and a half, and he played real well, but it feels like we were a little too high on him, no?
I like that your Dennis is kind of a mix of Charlie, too. Yeah, but also, like, there's a reason why they didn't go after Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is a Super Bowl team on paper. They have the potential to be a Super Bowl team, but they decided to go with a very inexperienced quarterback. I think that's also their GM, and I wish I could say his name, Adefi Okamensa, I believe it is. I probably butchered that.
Good try.
Close enough. The whole point was always going to be draft a young quarterback, build around him, save money on that, move on from Kirk Cousins. There's no reason to go after Aaron Rodgers, even though he's only going to cost you like $20 million, maybe less than that. So, yeah, this was all strategic. And, you know, he doesn't look good in camp right now, I guess, but I've also seen some, you know, like some good throws, I guess. I don't know, like who's to say, but I don't know if there's any merit to him not being a good quarterback right away. I want to see it in preseason, and, you know, like it or not, he's going to be their guy this season. Yeah.
Brian Flores keeps getting more praise about him as a defensive coordinator, by the way. Moving on to, is there merit to that? Going to Pittsburgh, Jalen Ramsey has fit in seamlessly with this defense in Pittsburgh. TJ Watt signed a contract extension, and Cam Hayward came out and said they could be the best defense in the NFL. But Aaron Rodgers, his feet are moving like Frank's. God, I can't keep this impression going up anymore. Top 5 defense with a bottom 5 offense. Is there any merit to that, Derek?
I definitely think the Steelers could be the best defense in all of football. I really do believe that. I think at one point they were a season ago, and then the wheels just fell off like the last 5 weeks of the season. So, yeah, with all like the playmakers they have, with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, who might be the best like bookends in all of football as far as pass rushers, and then that secondary with Jalen Ramsey now, and you know, Joey Porter Jr., solid player. I'm just listing off names, but yeah, on paper, the Steelers should be a top 5 defense, no doubt. As far as an offense, I gotta believe that it's going to be better with Aaron Rodgers. And I know that's going to be, you know, highly debated as we go into the season. People have kind of mid-level expectation for the Steelers, but I like Arthur Smith. I thought that, you know, getting DK Metcalf should make them more explosive in some regard. The one thing I'm worried about is their other receivers. They have like Calvin Austin, who's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. Tight end wise, they got Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith now, and Dwayne Washington, Cam Hayward's brother, Cameron Hayward. I think that's his name. Oh, Connor Hayward. So I don't know if all those tight ends are going to make the team, but yeah, as far as wide receiver, I thought that maybe they would go after Keenan Allen or maybe Amari Cooper or even Alan Lazard, that given the connection with Aaron Rodgers. But I think they'll be okay. But yeah, I saw Aaron Rodgers remember when he threw shade to his young wide receivers like a couple of years ago when he was with the Packers? Today he came out and I saw this where he was like, I need Roman Wilson to get out of his own head. And that's where, you know, good as a leader to do that, but also like you're putting the young man on blast there, man. So I don't know. I can't say with certainty that the Steelers offense is going to be good this season, but I definitely think their defense will be top 5 in the league. Yes.
Going into Dallas, their head coach, Derek, Brian Schottenheimer, he wears a backwards visor, which is unsightly for a head coach who usually sticks with the hair and maybe a normal bent cap. Derek, the Cowboys are in for another dud because their head coach doesn't know how to wear his hat correctly. Is there any merit to that?
Well, you know, I usually base things off of what Colin Cowherd says, but on this one, I have to disagree with him because I don't give a flying fuck if you wear your hat backwards. No, if they don't have success, I brought this up when he got hired. Yes, the Brian Schottenheimer hiring is questionable at best because what did he do to get that job? At the same time, I feel for the guy because people think he's a Nepo baby, obviously, you know, being Marty Schottenheimer's son. And some people are going to be like, what did he deserve to become head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Kind of like how Derek Papa shouldn't be on the radio. But regardless, no, I think if they don't have success this season, it's Jerry Jones' own doing because he waited till the last fucking minute to give Micah Parsons a contract where, you know, he could have gone and, you know, a better head coach. He could have gone after some of the big names of football, but he doesn't want to break the bank. He could have brought Mike McCarthy back. I think they would have been in a better position than they are right now. But yeah, Jerry Jones is going through the Al Davis phase of his life, and he's being all weird and now making this whole standoff with Micah Parsons. So no, I don't think that if the Cowboys don't have success this season, it's because of Brian Schottenheimer's backwards hat.
The backwards visor, Derek. Get it right. And the last one, we'll go to Indianapolis, where Anthony Richardson diced up the Ravens defense at joint practices, which is a complete 180 from last year when the Bengals defense said he doesn't know how to see. So this year he is being named the preseason starter. Is he going to be the full-time starter this year based on that? Is there any merit to that, Derek?
Sorry, you're saying that that Anthony Richardson will be the starter based on what he's accomplished in joint practices?
Yeah.
No, there's no merit to that. I think that it'll all be based on what he does in the preseason games. If Anthony Richardson has a good showing against whoever they're playing week 1, and then Daniel Jones shits the bed, then yeah, he'll get the starting job. And I think that Anthony Richardson, everyone thought it was a foregone conclusion because he was banged up in mini camps that he was going to lose that job to Daniel Jones. I'm not so sure about that. Even though they paid Daniel Jones solid starting quarterback money, I think it was like $12 million this year. They still could go with Anthony Richardson. They probably would prefer to go with Anthony Richardson so they keep their jobs because he was the 3rd overall pick a couple of years ago. So if I had to guess, I say Anthony Richardson starts this season. I could see him also losing the job based on record and how the Colts, do. But I could see Daniel Jones then coming in. But yeah, I don't think anything is going to be based off of a joint practice for Anthony Richardson.
I don't think they're going to be jonesing for Jones.
You're waiting to say that one, huh?
They're going to be jonesing for Richardson.
There you go. I think that to justify everything for Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen, and obviously, very sad with the passing of Jim Irsay, but now his daughter takes over as owner, and she's not indebted to any of these people. She can fire them all. So I'm sure they're going to try to make it work with Anthony Richardson first and foremost, and then if the season goes haywire, they'll go to Daniel Jones.
That's it for Is There Any Merit to That?
Well done, Steven. I like the segment. You know what one we did a year ago that we should probably bring back as well?
Which one?
I give it till.
It's a good one.
That's a good one. We'll sit on that one. We'll bring that one back. So there you go, guys. We went through the divisions in the AFC East. We talked a little bit about the Buffalo Bills on Hard Knocks, the Raiders trading away Jakorian Bennett, and a little bit of is there merit to that? That's all I got tonight, Steven. I know this is kind of a quick one for us. Anything else you got?
I am just double checking. I had this game on in the background, but just wanted to, and I'm pretty sure they lost, unless something miraculous happened, and in which case I missed it because my phone stopped working in the middle of the. I got to look this up before I see it, Derek, because I don't want to put out any facts.
Okay.
But it was the Little League West Regional, and I don't know if you heard about it, but a Little League team from Menlo Park was fighting for the West Regional. They were playing Southern California. They made it all the way to San Bernardino. And
wait, Menlo Park. Oh, in the Bay Area?
In the Bay Area, yeah.
Okay.
And
there's also a Menlo Park in Austin.
Yeah, they were and they made it all the way to pretty much the semifinal to win the West. And they were down 5-0 in the 5th inning. So I am not sure if they came back and won. And I'm trying to look it up. They're playing Fullerton, Menlo Park, Fullerton. Did they lose? God damn it. I can't find the result. Someone help me out here. I'm dying.
Which one? The Little League World Series?
What?
Sorry, not the World Series. The Little League, whatever the hell you're talking about.
The regional, man. I'm doing local sports, and I've been keeping an eye on
it. The regional. Gotcha.
Yeah, and getting to that stage is just so freaking hard. Having played Little League all my life, and having my dad been so involved. He umpired a few times in San Bernardino for the West region, knowing just how hard it is to reach that stage. It's really cool that a team from the Bay Area made it, but I'm pretty sure they lost. So that, and also Ernie One messaged me about this, and I totally forgot to respond. Okay. But do you see that thing with the former Miami Heat security officer?
No.
Yeah. So it was Amin Al-Hassan who first had the story last week, where he said there's going to be like some federal investigation that's announced of some like big time heist. And as he's based in South Florida, like you kind of figured it was with a Miami team. And yeah, I guess a former Miami Heat security guard who worked during game day and had access to this secure room that's full of a bunch of their equipment. He had access to it when a very limited number of individuals did. And he was caught for selling over 400, allegedly, over 400 game-worn Miami Heat jerseys.
Oh, wow.
Selling them through like multiple like marketplaces online. And then one of them being LeBron James Game 7 2013 Finals. Heat
against the Spurs?
Yeah, where he sold that for $3.7 million at Sotheby's auction, which is like a huge deal.
Yeah.
So this guy, sneaky, and he also used to work for the Miami Police Department. He's like in his 60s now. There's this kind of same thing happened with a Masters employee, an Augusta National employee who did the same thing with a bunch of Masters memorabilia. And he got like a year-long prison sentence. So we'll see if that same thing happens for this guy, but he sold a lot of stuff, and there's still not as many details on how much in total that the 400 items cost, but I'd imagine it's for a good buck.
Yeah. That's insane. Speaking of crazy stories, the Gilbert Arenas arrest.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the details of
right?
Arrested last week on a federal indictment alleging he operated an illegal gambling business in which high-stakes poker were played at his Encino mansion. In the arrest report, though, this is hilarious to me. Arenas is listed by his alias, his nickname. He's arrested by his name is Gilbert Agent Zero Arenas. That's hilarious to me. That's on like the arrest report. Yeah, this guy was, like basically having like a Molly's game type of deal at his house. And yeah, that podcast, which is very successful, probably going away.
Well, whatever, man. I mean, it's a shame for him that he's in that legal trouble, but the podcast, I don't think anyone will miss that.
Okay, fair enough. Did you see this story, though? This one made me laugh. The hot dogs that spilled across a highway in Pennsylvania.
No, Derek, I did not see a story about the hot dogs that spread across a highway in Pennsylvania. What happened?
Let me tell you, it was thousands and thousands of hot dogs that spilled off of a truck, and it was written about in a ABC article, and it reads like this: "It was a commuter's worst nightmare as a truckload of hot dogs spilled across a Pennsylvania interstate Friday. Crews were stuck with a job they did not relish, rolling up the scattered tube steaks for disposal. Despite the incident, emergency crews had humor in the situation, as the fire chief said, 'I can tell you personally, hot dogs are very slippery.'"
That's a great story, if I'm frank.
Well done, Stephen. Well done.
That's all I could muster.
You should have been the author of this article.
I got to catch up.
Jesus.
Sorry. That's amazing. Who wrote that?
All right, stop.
What?
Oh, wait.
I didn't go for a pun there.
I thought you were saying like mayonnaising.
I didn't go for a bun there.
Come on, dude.
Who wrote that?
ABC, some local journalist for Philadelphia.
Love that.
Yeah, as AJ Cruz says here, that story was written by a wiener.
Speaking of Philadelphia, I guess one other thing that popped up was, did you see this? Okay, well, you know what? Let me ask you this question first. You were in the era of the presidential fitness test. Do you remember that? And do you remember that making any difference in your life whatsoever? Did you walk away from that feeling like, man, I got to get in shape for the remainder of my youth?
No, never did. But I always worried about like Hey Arnold and other cartoons at the time always did like like a kid's worst fear is doing the rope and climbing that.
Yeah.
And then for the longest time, like I was like, oh God, that's gonna be me, or I can't climb the rope and everyone's gonna make fun of me. Never happened. We never had to do that in PE.
Right. But you had to do the sit and reach, pull-ups.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, what was more humiliating was when I did football and we did like combine drills and I had to do like the where you jump up and your reach, your vertical leap. I could barely hit that thing. It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Yeah. That was actually the peak of my athletic career, was doing the combine stuff before freshman football. I was running a 4.57 40, I think, which was super slow. No, it was super, but I got faster. I did. I forgot what I clocked in at after that, but I remember
worked on that speed.
But anyway, point being, Trump has reinstated that fitness test. Oh, yeah. And he has also established the Council on Sports Nutrition and Fitness. And
I saw this.
Oh yeah, and the usuals: Nick Bosa, Harrison Butker, Tony Romo added to that list is on the council. Bryson DeChambeau, not too surprising. Obviously, they've expressed their support for him, so whatever. And then
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor, who had no idea what he was doing. And I think that's been the theme of this entire thing. He kind of made up this council and just invited a bunch of athletes to join it. But besides DeChambeau, I don't think they have any idea what they're doing.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of Dennis Rodman bringing all those guys over to hang out with, who's it, Kim Jong-un?
Yes.
And all of his former Detroit Pistons teammates, and one guy being like, I don't know why I'm here, man.
Right. So it appears it's the same thing for Tua. Tua Tagovailoa responded today. He's like, it's an honor. I don't really know what it is, but it's an honor. And they moved on after that. And Saquon was named in it. Yeah. Saquon Barkley. And I think he, visited the White House before, and there was some outrage about him doing that. Whatever, it's their prerogative; they could do what they want. But he didn't accept the invitation. He actually he said, "You know what? Me and my team saw that. We think it'll be great for the youth. We think it'll be great for the future. But considering how busy I am, me and my team politely declined. But they announced him anyway."
That's what Trump does, man. And now that he'll probably flip. Now that Saquon passed on that, he'll probably flip on him, being like, "The Giants were right. He's a big loser. He's a big loser. Only rushed for 52 yards in that Super Bowl. Not that I remember Timmy Smith rushing for more yards. Remember him?
Didn't I tell you that? I told you that. I always told you that Brandon Jacobs was better. I always said that.
More of a Tiki fan. Love Tiki. Did you see the clip, though, of him saying his name, Tua?
Yep.
Can we play that real quick?
Yeah, let me.
The tweet is amazing. With the guy goes, "Get a load of Trump pronouncing his name." Get a load of this. Get a load of this guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's Aaron Rupar, who kind of like sometimes I just doom scroll him in this other account, basically like almost like a Dove Climate, I guess, for political stuff, where they just post videos
basically
of things that happen. I'm like always just scrolling through their stuff, but. All right, I found it immediately, so that's good.
He was on the council, and Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, who is really he's been fantastic. He's been when he's not injured, he's great. He's got to stay healthy, but he's a great guy.
All right,
Tua Tagovailoa.
One more time, Derek, if you don't mind.
He was on the council, and Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, who is.
All right, hang on real quick. Let's just take a look at Bryson.
Yeah.
Bryson has did a master job of holding in that laugh. Look, I don't care what side you lean. That is objectively funny. I don't care which president it is. Bryson did a hell of a job holding in the laugh.
And Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback. Who is really
look at JD Vance's face. Even he knows, like, oh, what are you doing right now?
Bryson did that thing where he was going to laugh, and then immediately you could see in his head he tried to think of the saddest thing that he could possibly think of, so that he could take his mind off of Togo Valolia.
Tag Ovalia, the quarterback who is
Think of something sad. Think of something sad.
He's been fantastic.
Oh,
he's been
all right. So there you go. There you have it.
He's not a sports fan. I'm sorry. Like he may watch these games, but like to know these players' names, like you don't know. Like just say Tua, but like every NFL fan at this point could pronounce Tua's name. Like, good Lord.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Incredible. And I didn't bring this up in Pop Culture Catch Up, but 2 weeks ago, South Park's episode with Trump basically playing the role of Saddam Hussein. Genius. Absolutely genius. And, I'm not going to act like I'm a huge fan of this guy, but Howard Stern was revolutionary for just sports. I mean, sorry, not sports, just talk radio. And like, I'm not gonna act like I was influenced by him, but I think that the way that me and Copes and a lot of people are able to talk freely on the radio sometimes and kind of do a little kind of sophomoric humor was his influence. And now they're talking about him being canceled after however long he's been on the radio for almost 40 years now because he talks ill of Trump. So I'm with you, Steven, and even though like I think that financially it wasn't enough to keep Stephen Colbert around, something's going on. Something definitely is going on where freedom of speech is not happening in this country as much as it used to.
No, and you got ESPN buying up NFL Network. You got all these things happening. So it's bad. Yeah.
Interesting times.
Very.
All right, everybody. That's gonna be it for tonight. We'll be back on Sunday. And yeah, thanks everybody in the chat tonight. Thanks to Otis Bird is the word. What's up, Otis? To the Skills Report, to AJ Cruz, to Lauren F. Thank you for the kind words, Lauren F. To Rocket New Era, to Pat H. And I believe that is it. All right, everybody. We will see you on Sunday. We'll do a new division to preview for the upcoming season for Just Your Divisions, man. Yeah, we'll do that next time. And we'll actually review some football as preseason games are going to go underway this weekend. Until then, Steven, say what you always say.
This is just our opinion, man. That was more Charlie Day.
Yeah, that was.